of SBGC. Thank you so much and have a good event. We will be in touch. Just one advice. We have launched a panorama survey about the knowledge here in Brazil. And tomorrow we will have a session for those who want to collaborate by facilitating and multiplying this survey in the states, cities, and the sectors. So we will be conducting this discussion, so then you will be able to have this multiplication of this survey and also to be a partner of us. So DTAR Brazil is going to be concluded today, but we will have further sessions during the month and in the next month also. Juliana, I give a word to you. Thank you, Fernando. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank SBGC for the invitation. It's always a honor, and I always learn with the interactions with you. Thank you for the invitation. I also would like to thank for our translators and the panelists who will be here talking. We will not have presentations. We will have a chat actually. And I would like to thank for your participation. For me, it's such a honor to be mediating such an event like this. And I also would like to thank for all the participants who are with us, those who will join us later on. And first, our panelists will introduce their point of views, and then we will open for Q&A. So first, by introducing yourselves, my name is Juliana. I am Gabi's mother. People call me Julima, and I'm just passionate about the knowledge and Erika Braga. She's human resources director. She has been working with consultancy, and she's responsible for the talent area of the PwC. Osvaldo Bernardo is an engineer, and he's focused on deliveries. He's very pragmatic, and he also conciliates all the demands, the deliverables with the knowledge management. And Glauber, who is a senior manager of the corporate relationship here in Brazil, and he always conciliate and promote education, operational efficiency, and he also help and support companies to have this kind of digital world. It's quite interesting, our panel, right? So the focus is not to talk about digital companies. What we want here is to have a chat with you, so then we will be able to explain how the process works. For those who have been throughout that, the key points, the challenges, the main concerns, the advices. So for us to start, I would like to bring you a thought. It's a belief, actually. The elements captured, because it's a company, for those of you who know this company, it's a knowledge management company. But we also have some elements, key elements in meetings, policies, practices, and the company's positionings. A company is a live system and integrates a social ecosystem, economic and natural, in which it interacts, depends, and is co-responsible. This is a text from a book and brings this kind of belief, because we are not only focusing on technology, we are also talking about people, processes, and that's why we are here today. So now I'd like to invite Erika to share with us her knowledge and experience. Good morning, Ju. Thank you, everyone. I just love this book. I think this is very important for the panel opening. So I would like to thank you all. Well, it's quite interesting because I wake up early and I have some rituals, and I'm reading a sixth book in this quarantine. And I think that the panel we will be talking about knowledge. Well, I don't know if advices, but I will bring you my knowledge about people because we are living such a difficult moment, and I hope I can contribute in somehow. Because the feeling that I have is that every time that I participate in events and they speak, I learn more than you who are only listening. Because, and also by hearing myself makes me reflect about things. So I think this is quite important for life. I love, I'm very passionate about knowledge. That's what I seek. So to talk about myself, I am a human resources director of PwC, and I will share with you some learnings, and I will talk about what happens inside PwC, and I will share with you a little bit about our program. It's a digital program, and we prepared people, we prepare the society for this new world. It's not that new, but it's a new normal because things are happening. So I will share with you this experience, this knowledge. And I have three kids. So you will see them here in the background. And he will say, my. And I just would like to say sorry if there is any interruption about it. And I have twins and a daughter who is 6 years old. And once I was preparing for this chat, they have been helping me out with this process and this digital world. And there was a post about this Simplis magazine that connects with this feeling that I have about my kids in general, because it's about, and I think it's very important to share with you because it's very nice. Well, we have the belief that kids are, they don't know about the reality, but we forget that they have new capabilities that we are developing now. They are present, they are very important, they do not criticize, they know how to hear others, and they have this kind of competencies about this new world that we are trying to seek.
And we are born outside the box. I heard someone talking about it. And then they put ourselves inside another box. And there are many beliefs that keep shaping us. And then they ask us to have innovative thinking and think outside the box again. I'm taking advantage on observing my kids and people in general on this sense. I'm going to talk about three topics. First, I'll contextualize this evolution we have been living with some data, case studies, market data. I'm going to talk about my expectations, data related with the research that has been done about people's expectations, CEOs and all. And then I'm going to talk about the competencies that we need to develop to live in this world. So I'm going to start by provoking you. Do you know Ray Kurzweil, the futurist? He's a researcher and a scientist. He founded Singularity University, which was founded in California alongside with NASA. And he provokes people to think more creatively, and he has been very polemical over the years. He says we have been looking like God more and more, and it was very polemic declaration. But he also has predictions. He has made predictions over the years, technology related. And his predictions have been confirming over the time. When he was asked about AI, he said he believes AI will overcome our intelligence. Human brain is capable to do some calculations each second. And this capability is not going to be expanded in the next 50 years. It's not going to be expanded at the same speed AI is going to expand. And the way technology has been transforming. Another thing, it was polemical that he said, is the way things are advancing in 2029, AI and the machines will reach human intelligence, according to Kurzweil, including emotional intelligence, in his opinion. I do not say that I believe in it. These are his words. And he has bringing lots of elements that have been conforming over the years. And this has been happening in an overwhelming speed. We end up being afraid of it. If I talked to you about it 10 years ago, if I said, for example, on my way home, when I was going to my office, I was at an Uber, in my phone, looking for a place to spend my vacation on an Airbnb. Imagine this 10 years ago. No one would understand a word of what I was saying. Can you imagine? The only thing in this speech you would understand is about the vacation. And from 10 years up to now, see the speed things have been evolving. Sometimes we think we can't keep up with it. So, in the past, our intelligence was assisted. We had help to automatize things. And now we are moving forward autonomous intelligence. Sometimes we are afraid and insecure about it. And it makes us make a reflection. What about us human beings? Are we inside this cycle? How society has been contemplating these changes? Who is talking about it? How are organizations being prepared for that? Organizations in a whole, they are not different. They are the same. And more technologies on the spot of strategical transformation. Digital transformation, digital knowledge, new sets of skills have been changing the organization's view. And this, we cannot take it back. This is a new world. We are not going to go back to a previous moment. It's from now on. And how do people see all of these? How do organizations see all of this? And the public in general is afraid and insecure, but also very optimistic about it. Everyone sees a growth view. They have a growth view. So when we have research with CEOs, and we see the dilemma, this changing on the CEO point of view, And we have interviewed with lots of them. And a high number of them tells us people are not prepared to face this new time. 84% of the CEOs they'll need new talent, new people who have been prepared in a different way. And 51% say they are not talented in this way. They do not have people for that. And 45% of the CEO group, they say that they have already had a planning to develop people, to get people prepared. And the people in their organization will be prepared because they have a planning. And what we have seen today is that this is necessary. These experiences are necessary. But to be successful, it is very important to see that what we have been discussing, they are personality skills and a certain personality profile. So World Economic Forum has made a report, which is very interesting. If you haven't read it yet, do it. And they say about the skills and the competencies that we need to develop. And when I say we, I am talking about myself, all of us, and also the organizations. They play a very important role in supporting the professionals and the people in order to develop these skills and competencies. We are the protagonists. And Ju is going to talk about it as well. What is the trick? There isn't a particular trick. What happens is that we have to have hard work, have to be the protagonists and work hard all the time. And our leadership is important as well. We have to develop these skills and our own knowledge so that we can make a difference in society and organizations.
And I think that we need to look for things that will make a difference, problem solving, complexes. So we need to be very able to solve problems, different problems, well, to be very flexible, to be resilient, so then we will be able to face problems that we have never faced before. We have to be very critical, have a critical thinking, so we need to question all the time. We might not have the right answers because I do not believe in right or wrong answers. Because we need to know how to question, how to ask, to use the rationale, to ask all the time. So then we will be able to understand where we would like to get. So we need to understand people's minds. We need to lead their others and people, because knowledge, well, who retain the knowledge? People. So it's very essential to have that for a professional. And it is part of the emotional intelligence development, and also to collaborate in labor environment, to share knowledge, to be able to have skills and make this happen. For instance, we are here in this event, we are sharing experiences, we are collaborating with one another. And it not only makes a difference within an organization, but also considering the society itself. I think that we have the role to change our private initiatives so then we will be able to change the world, the society, and to have the emotional intelligence the decision-making process, but based on information and data. This is another capability. Guidance for customers, negotiation, techniques of negotiation. This is very required, and it depends on human beings. It depends on human interaction, dialogue, argumentation. So this is another capability that we need to develop. We need to have that incorporated. And also flexibility and capability to accept different opinions, different point of views. We need to open a space for new things, to be able to relate, to have a relationship with others, to other backgrounds, beliefs, other familiar conditions, social conditions. So I think that this is the message I would like to give you, because, well, I was taking into account an organization or professional services in which knowledge is within people. Because I tell to my team, well, what do we deliver? Well, we deliver knowledge. So we need to have all the skills, the capabilities well developed and related to the social emotional skills, because that makes difference. Because, well, what makes a difference is what I look for in people. Well, technically, well, it's easier to teach. It's a little bit more easier to teach, and it's quite challenging, the soft skills, because it's pretty hard to make machines, because Ray has said that machines will replace human beings because to the intelligence, artificial intelligence. But we as human beings, I think that we have to have a relationship to adapt to this new reality that we are living. So this is what I'd like to say. And I think that it's all about dedication, investment, collaboration, to be open-minded, to be able to hear others, to put your shoes on the others. So that this is the message that I was about to tell you, that I would like to tell you.
Certeza. De alguma maneira. Contribuiu muito, quero
Yes,
dizer que...
Erika, you have contributed, and we have some mothers who are identifying themselves, and they are seeing your kid in the background. So it's quite important. And as for this advice, because people ask us, well, could you please give me an advice? Well, what can I do differently? What are the 10 steps? Well, there's nothing. And it's very important that, because there is nothing, because I think it's about the dedication and the intention to collaborate, to develop yourself, because digital transformation, many times people think that investment needs to be a development of a tool or investment in technology or to learn a new technology. But it's not only that, it's more than that, because we are talking about people. We are talking about cultural issues and the way we interact with all of that. Because as you have mentioned, the PwC has a huge knowledge, and knowledge transforms people. So it's a set of things. We have processes, we have tools, and we have human beings, people that we need to develop. But all of the competencies, we will talk about it more deep. And we are being super human beings, because we need to develop a lot of skills, a lot of capabilities.
Fazer parte disso.
And we need to think, do I really want to be part of it? or I'm going to be stuck. So what I'm going to do in order to be able to have this digital transformation? Well, thank you for your presentation. Okay, I just would like to compliment one thing that is very important is that, and it makes a difference for myself and maybe for others, is this search for auto knowledge. Because sometimes it might be a cliche, but accepting that, because we are not perfect human beings, because people are always looking for perfection, but we are not perfect. We have our drawbacks, and there is an essential role to make tools and knowledge available for us. But if we're not open to that, then it's not going to be worth it. I had a manager who said, if you're not opting in, you are opting out. And it's a matter of choice. Because if I don't want to have that, then it's not going to be worth it. The organization or a therapist say anything to myself. Because if we are not open to new things and to develop ourselves, nobody's going to do that for us.
Pegando esse
Okay,
gancho,
perfect.
a Promon
Osvaldo, Promon is a company in which its innovation is in its DNA, but it's a 60-year-old lady. How is that? Could you please talk about the challenges and the competencies, and by accepting that we have errors because we are human beings? So could you please talk about it a little bit? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, panelists and participants. Well, in the name of ProOne, I would like to thank you for the invitation, and FGC, Juliana. We from ProOne, we like to participate because we like to learn. Well, and considering what Erika has commented about the ecosystem, I think that, well, it's very important to have an event like this for the society, for PwC, Erika, Glover, but and also the society itself. So thank you for the event. Congratulations for the event. But as for Promon, it's very important because for those of you who don't know us, Promon is a company led by a 60-year-old lady, and she's very proud.
I'm there since I was an intern, so I can talk about it. I'm very proud of Promon. So I'm Osvaldo Bernardo. I'm the operation director at Promon. I have 2 kids also. I try to be here in my study so that they do not appear here. I have a 4-year-old daughter. And the pandemics have been challenging us. And from time to time, I can talk about my kids and then hurry to start an online meeting. And then my routine is a little bit different. So if you hear some screaming, it's only my daughter playing with the dog. So Promon is 60 years old. And we are in the engineering field, project management, and we have solution service, and we work with infrastructure, energy, oil, and gas mining. And talking about what Erika was saying before, knowledge is our raw material, is the best solution for our client. So at the bottom line, what we deal with here is about knowledge, because knowledge generates value, adds value. So I'm very pragmatic person, and this is a characteristic of my position. And we here at Promon and this 60-year-old lady, we have fundamental things, which is knowledge management. Not only the term, because the term is a nice one, it's because KM brings results. KM is fundamental. So following Erika's reasoning, who knows me better knows that I'm very focused in the present. We have to live now, learn with the past and plan for the future, but present is the essence. KM is a pillar so that we deliver what we have to today and plan to the future, plan for the future. So who knows Promon? Ju talked about body and soul. Erika has Campos do Jordão reference model, which was the foundation of Promon. And the knowledge and value matter. We are a very open company, and we value the human being a lot. This is part of our culture, and this is very natural for us as well. So talking about the theme of today's panel, the speed today is super fast. And we who have been delivering the solutions have to be enhanced, improved all the time. And the competition is global. It's not only in São Paulo or in a neighborhood, particular one. It's worldwide nowadays. I've received a software email and accepted on LinkedIn, I talked to Glober. We exchanged messages, and then we tried to schedule a time to get together. And then I stopped to think, where is this company from? It was from Lithuania. They sell solar software. So see how the speed is very fast and how things are very globalized. So lots of data, lots of information now. Nowadays, we can live our entire day only listening to things. But how can we see what's relevant? How can we do it? How can we assemble all this data and generate value? And then I say again, I'm very pragmatic person, and we are focused on our client. And how can we add value in the client's business? And this is something very important. We can survive in this market by doing it. So KM is a pillar. And I say that because Promon is talking about it, has been talking about it for a long time. And I've had the opportunity to absorb all these. KM literally has a basis for the processes so that the tools are adequate as well. And then by doing this, we can have the adequate speed for change. It's not, we can't think we are going to have the light speed, but we cannot be still on the other hand. And how can we optimize everything? So I'm going to tell you a story so that I have a comparison here. This is something real that really happened to us. And then we are going to see some concepts. And last, I am going to talk about the mistake question that has been talked here. So generations are very different. So I saw a presentation last year about generations. And this is a 10 pages text to an emoji that passes information. And how do all these things work? So let me be fast. And let me say that we have a service for our client that used to take a month to be done. It was a particular kind of service and cost a certain amount of money. When the technology advances, we could do the very same thing with more quality, less cost in 2 days. Oh, 2 days? Are you sure? Yeah, 2 days. From a month to 2 days. We had a pilot. It has worked, and we were very excited. But not all pilot programs work. This is important to be said. And what happened? Today in Promon, we have Promon Connection, which is our social media. People use on the computer, but I use on my smartphone. It's an app, I go there, and when I see the team that was working on this pilot program, I saw on this social media, they posted there. And by doing that, they shared the entire concept of that pilot program. So it was super cool. So the first topic, we have developed the process. It isn't finished yet, but we could see the evolution of the process, and it was available for all the community. So our technology CEO was part of it. And how can I make that service become a company practice? So I saw that on Promon Connection. It called my attention. I talked to the team that was working on that and decided to have a disciplinary meeting. There are practice communities which are different subjects, mechanical, civil engineering, etc. So we had a presentation. We entered the in and out that Erika has talked about. And it's super cool when people have a purpose. And when you say people do it, they get a little bit disturbed. But this, over the generation, this has been changing exponentially. So the guys liked it a lot and decided to understand that process. So they talked about it on the community, and we had 2 feedback. So let's start practicing it in every project. So yes, someone has to be the annoying guy. So okay, are you going to this in everyone? But how are you going to do it? What are the parameters? How do we make it viable for our clients?
And then it was quite interesting another day because we were in a multidisciplinary meeting, and well, we had another idea because, well, there were 3 white books and you had to read those books. And then he got to me and said, well, but if we get into that, because people are using to YouTube, and once I learned how to use the internet and tutorials, And my son asked me, well, if you don't know how to do something, you just have to type on the YouTube and then you're going to see a tutorial about that. So I got to the staff and I said, okay, is that what you want to do? So we discussed which was the way that we had to do that. But we also have more technical things. We have other normatives. We have different ones, but it works. It just works. Today is even more quick. It's quicker because something that we used to do in 2 days, we are now doing it faster. So then we gathered people and we had a standard. So it's a more objective way. So how can I have more new businesses to the company? So we had a presentation with the commercial team, and then, well, can you see that it was costing 100, but now you are going to sell for 20, and customers will just feel amazing. But then our margin is going to increase because if it's cheaper, then it's better. But how does it work? So we teach that model and we explain to the commercial staff, because we had the pilot team as well. This was a knowledge for the company, and then the commercial staff started working on that because we had this model. So I was able to have a quality in a first delivery, and then I was able to generate new deliveries. So then the first question is the following. Okay, but this work is going to take a month, right? No, it's going to take only 2 days. And the customer said, oh, really? Can you do that in 2 days? So the customer experience was like, wow, it's really good. And honestly talking, it's something very small. So that's why I told you this story, to talk about that, to show you the steps since the pilot project, to share the knowledge with the company. Because today we have all the tools, we have spreadsheets, we have a lot of quite interesting things. But once we started sharing it, it generates comments, discussions. So but that has to be tangible, right? And how are we going to do that? Well, I am getting very attached to it because most of the executives, they ask, what is the role of it? So once we do that, once we have this model, because we had a pilot project, it was okay. But me, as the responsible for operation, I want to have the guarantee and I want to generate satisfaction and results customers. But I also need to be a consultant. So I will be able to plan things and to have all the technology and processes to be corrected. So you have to bring up new tools, new methodologies, and change the process. Because if you are doing the same process, then you are going to be inefficient. And I think that is key. That is very important. But okay, it's quite nice. But how are we going to do that? Well, at the end of the day, the challenge that we have is that deliveries have to be sent. So a concept that we have within the company is that we need to be very agile, but it's a concept to fail fast. So we have simple things, and sometimes we think, well, do I really have to have a 5-year project to transform the whole company? It might be wrong because we have simple things that provide a huge impact. So we also had a research with the disciplinary team, and there was a period, and it was quite impressive because we had a meeting, a monthly meeting, and it was very important. And those meetings were generating a very huge transformation because little things might lead to huge things. So, and just another concept that I'd like to conclude here, and we'll give the word to Glauber, is the fail fast, is the value on customers, and generate the pilot and check whether there are any results. If there's none, then it was valid for you as a knowledge. So for you to return to the process and accelerate. If it does not work, then you have to start over again. So this is my final suggestion. And it's very essential to have auto knowledge and to think about society. Once I was in a meeting and we had two solutions. We had one solution that was good for the customer, it was okay for the society, and another one which was excellent for the society but not that good for the customer. So then he turned it to me and said, do you remember that? Well, you need to do what is better for the society, and naturally it's going to be good for the customer as well. So that's my final sentence, so I can conclude here. Thank you, Osvaldo. You brought quite interesting concepts. You talked about that question about the vehicle, because the vehicle is running, well, nobody can stop it. Well, it's a preparation, everything's happening, they fail fast. So it's essential. It's linked to the culture and the proposal, because today we are led by proposals. Because if you take into account new generations, what moves it is the proposal, because I get into the company not only to work because I need to receive my salary. No, it's also about identification, to generate value to the customers and to myself. What what do I believe? And I also would like to take into account this case because, well, it was incredible for you to see that practice. And you have been talking about knowledge management, and you brought new practices for those who know about it, because we have practice communities and this whole concept.
So it's your turn, Glauber. You are the one that promotes innovation, have operational excellence, and results through digital transformation, and works for a company which has been born digitally. You end up interacting with many other companies in many other segments and industries. What have you been realized in the market? How does the market see this transformation? Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invite. I would like to thank you for the event, SBGC, and the event is very nice. This kind of event brings complexity to the discussions. And there's no magical recipe, and there's no simple answers for all of these things. So thank you for inviting me to the panel with Osvaldo and Erika. So what I see in LinkedIn, which my line of business is localized with talents, as I end up working with many other kinds of people that come from communication, and they have to participate in the decision-making process. So I have super interesting information, and we have to understand what is going on. And of course, I will talk about my point of view and what is my contact with the market. We are super empirical and pragmatical. So talking about what you said previously, if we're going to discuss transformation, we will always talk about human being management. So the human being component is inserted in everything. It's going to be the center of our discussion. Organizations and companies are living organisms because it's made of people. This is the first topic. The digital world, as it is in the context it is for now, it has been very scary and overwhelming talking about technology. According to what Erika said, people have been swallowed in this process. So digital transformation is not a trend, it's not anything new. It's already in our bases. It's something that is already established. And this is not a choice. We have to see what we are going to do in the different scenarios we see. It depends on the company's nature, the context they are inserted. But the maturity that has been being accumulated in the organizations are going to have different levels. So I have some data here only to show you the picture. More than 50% of worldwide population is under 30. 53% of the millennials rather lose one of their senses than losing their mobiles. 2/3 of people already talk to each other through social media. Our purchasing decisions, career decisions, they are massively influenced by the digital. It can be an advertisement or any kind of content on the internet that will influence on the consumer's behavior of people. So there is this scenario that is already installed in our world. And talking about Brazil, we are super highlighted in this kind of scenario. There is the global index, which showed Brazil in the second position in service consumption. So there are lots of hours in our daily routine that are online, that people have been online. 3.5 hours from this online time is on social media. So how can we put ourselves, how do we perceive ourselves and the other in this scenario? We have to own what is latent. We need to use this in the corporate environment. We talk about efficiency, automation, and we have to go further. We have to have innovation and discuss everything related to this topic. We have to remind what is fundamental is to see the human touch on everything we do. Because managed transformation, manage our organizations is related to manage people, and every person is different from the other ones. They have their own evolution processes. They absorb content. They analyze things in a different way. So some people can absorb a technical reading, others can't. So people have to be aware and have to face this kind of movement. So being more pragmatical, we have discussed along with our work in our partnerships, there are basic pillars that has to do have to do with everything we have been discussing. So it is a behavior, a custom matter. And again, I insist, human touch the differential. And how can we manage that? First, we have to understand why. Because the second main pillar is the posture of this employee in leadership. So I will talk about my culture, all the scenarios I have been in touch with, wholesalers, technology, capital companies, everything. I have always seen that the ones that are digital transforming things, it has to be from the leadership. There isn't going to be an excellent transformation. It has to be top down. But why? Because leadership generates the example, the role model. So the leadership has to talk about it in the meetings. It has to come from the leadership, because every digital transformation involves a very huge investment. So how can we allow digital transformation? So we have to have management with our knowledge. We have to see our employees so that we can train them and capacitate them. We have to discuss all of this new concept with everyone. And on the other side, the platform related thing. When we talk about AI, we talk about analytics, the analytics department, marketing performance, IoT. All these technologies have to be used in a proper way. Osvaldo said about something that is fundamental for me, data. There isn't any digital transformation if you do not analyze your data. And the data has to be relevant. You need to interpret this amount of data. We have to treat the data, interpret it analytically. And it has to be set with the purpose of your business. It has to be aligned. We not only have to use the tools, but we have to have insight in order to take action on this component. So the differential, I say again, is the human touch. This is the glue of everything. People is in the basis, in the center of everything. I don't believe AI, robotics will overcome the human feeling. Data processing capacity is one thing, but the insights the humans have on data, this is something only the human being can do. And will continue for a long time. This is what I hope. And this is based on what I have seen and experimenting.
And other quite important points, and the capacitation. Well, we need to have a second step and try to identify this knowledge of your target public that might be towards research, and try to understand those people and those groups and how it can be multiplied. So then you have, for instance, a leadership core. You are able to approving things and to have new structures of platforms. So then we'll have a need to make it massive. And that is according to the support of indicators and leaders. And we also need to think that we need to take into account the experience, the journey. We have the collaborators, the candidates, and obviously we have to have the contact with the customers, the customer-centric. This is essential. And suppliers, because this is a contact network, and that is going to provide an experience, and it's going to impact. And this is a measurement mode. So then you have this kind of a vision. Because, well, there's also this issue, which is quite interesting, because I might have, for instance, a lot of people trying to implement new things, but I don't have the adherence. So it might not be possible. Well, I think that these 4 or 5 pillars are quite interesting and important for the more advanced movements for evolution and for the transformation of the digital world. And the pandemic, I think that it has brought, I cannot say opportunity because it's not good, but well, it has forced, it has accelerated the process of the digital world. For instance, LinkedIn has a global research
Você visualiza que 54%
because 54% of the leaders, they were used to virtual environments or to act in the virtual environment. And they also understand this change as something that's going to be definitive. So once this vaccine comes, I think that this transformation will be all embedded in the people's behavior. But we need to have adjustments. And we need to have a physical components as well. But I think that this is a huge transformation. It's a movement that creates forceps. And I don't know, well, it's hard, it's difficult. I think that, well, from the middle of July, I felt this kind of the return of activities because until July, I was feeling very upset because of that. And I think that that is according to the adaptation to have knowledge. It's not, for instance, okay, I have a good structure to work home office. Well, it's not only that. Myself, as a human being, I need to understand what am I having for feelings and how is it going to be. So 30% responded that they were feeling more productive because of that. It's a statistic and it shows a trend. And once again, I think that, well, the human touch is essential because if you have a transformation and a knowledge, well, we need to understand, we need to manage human beings. I think that's it. And I hope I have contributed with Erika. And I tried to fulfill some gaps. So, Juliana.
Com a gente agora. Olha só, Glauber, é muito interessante
Glauber,
esses pontos de vista.
It was quite interesting your point of views that you brought, talking about the pillars and the transformation. And well, this is about the culture, digital culture. Although we talk about the transformation, and I agree that every transformation, every change is painful because growing is painful because it involves losses because we are waiving other things.
Tudo foi muito
And that
acelerado.
was accelerated due to the pandemic, and we were not prepared to that. And it might not be the way we would act. So all the points that we brought, they are all essential, they are all fundamental.
Endereçar aqui com
So
vocês.
I also would like to address here, so please feel comfortable. I will ask questions, and this is a chat, okay? You can feel comfortable. Okay, the three of you brought, and it has generated a concern, which is very natural for our participants, that for first, they are congratulating the presentation. Everybody's enjoying it, but the first question is the following. It asks, is it possible for organizations to have their collaborators and develop the skills that they do not own? Or is the trend to replace the old collaborators to new collaborators? Erika, please tell us. I think that Glauber, well, I think that all of you can talk a little bit about it. What is the trend of the companies? Is it to change the less experienced professionals to new professionals? How is that? How is the scenario? Well, it's a very polemic, right? Well, I will share with you my thought. Well, I don't believe in replacement for an old professional to a new professional and generations or things like that. Well, we are different. We are diverse and we have different capabilities, different skills, right? So I think that the focus today is to strengthen and to potentialize what we have inside of us. Because myself, Erika, I have skills, but there are some things that, according to my own personal characteristic and skills, that I will not be able to develop. And there are other things that, for instance, Osvaldo can be better in another thing. And I cannot insist in something that I do not have. Obviously, that we need to have the minimum of capabilities and skills. I'm not saying that, okay, I'm not able to do that and I'm not going to be concerned about it. No. But if I don't have that capability, I might not be very expert about that. So that's why what I believe, to strengthen and to value what we have inside of us, the auto knowledge and the successful organizations, they are able to identify in their professionals and they are able to put people in their right places. So that's what is required. For instance, I have three kids, I have twins, which is a very interesting reality. And they have 1 minute of difference once they were born. But well, it's not worth it saying, okay, you are better than your brother. You are better and the other one is not. And try to be better than the other. Well, it's about strengthening.
Eu acho que é interessante essa pergunta da.
Well, I think it's quite interesting. I think that the role of companies is that, for instance, in engineering company, we have inside of us, we have employees who work very well with software, IT, and we have other employees that are very well experienced. And I think that what is important is the diversity.
Only the young people are bad because they will have speed to do things. But if they are going the wrong direction, you can be the fastest in the world. But if you are in the wrong direction, there's no point in it. And experienced professionals as well, because they have to be connected. So here at Promon, we try to make the teams. And we have conflict of generation, and this makes the discussions very rich. And the result is awesome. And I agree with Erika on the competences matter. We have to be, in the past, we had to be good in what we didn't have skills, good skills on that. And this is against the natural thing. It doesn't make any sense. In our company, we have to be the catalyst factor. We ask, which one is your interest, personal interest? Okay, that person likes solar energy. Okay, so that person is naturally moving forward that direction. So I have to use that skill in that kind of project. so that the person is going to be successful, because it's what drives that person. So the company has to maximize people's skills, like a chess game or a soccer game. We have to use the right player in the correct place, and we have to maximize it. And I have worked with Juliana already, and we also talk about it. The organization also has to raise the bar so that people achieve that bar in a way that they are always maximizing their competencies. And always diversity. Everyone is important. I have a senior professional which is 76 years old, and I have a 20 years old. So everyone is important. This question is fantastic. This topic only could promote another different panel. So I have developed many projects, and this topic, the diversity topic, I'm in touch with this for a long time. So there is a constant learning on LinkedIn. It's a very horizontal company, and we can see the many employees and getting in touch with others. So we have a great diversity. The gender one, the competences one. So talking about project-based theme is something I like very much. I'm very hands-on this topic. So there are many companies who have developed projects. And it's something very legitimate. And everyone started discussing it, but the best practices is in the sense to promote diversity in leadership or inside your organization. And we have to include everyone. We have to promote diversity, and people have to feel included. This has to do to many diversity topics. We have to have innovation. We have to promote our company's engagement. We have to see the performance. We have to enrich the strategic debate. We have to talk to different people from different contexts. And they have to cooperate with their different points of view, so that we fill lots of gaps and end up refining our debate. And then we are going to get good results at the end. So it's not a replacement, it's promoting the sharing of experiences and the people's diversity as well. Okay, perfect. We have lots of questions. But what we aren't able to answer, we are going to address to people, to our different channels, Telegram and all. Elena Fischer has a question. Every question is they are very complex. But Elena's question is, in your perception, what is the human being role in an AI future with robots and biotechnology, where AI is going to replace some people, or at least not replacing them, but have some activities that human beings do now? So these questions are very fruitful, but let's only give a clue at least. Talk about the topic briefly. So okay, I'm going to say something. Oh no, Glauber, you go. So this is the $64,000 question. So there is no magical recipe. There's no instant answer. This topic is very broad and very new as well. We are only going to get it afterwards and never 100%. So Osvaldo talked about that. Where would you conceive that 10 years ago I would manage my life through my cell phone? I think Erika said it. we could imagine teletransportation, I don't know, but we wouldn't understand that the level of transformation would be the way it is now. So replace automation, AI, robotics. These positions are filled by human beings and it will be this way. We have to monitor, we have to understand the transformation. And this doesn't mean the human being is going to be replaced. Human being will be in other spaces. So in the beginning of my career, I worked with audit. I was a trainee at Deloitte. And in the first training session, someone told me, take advantage of it. Your life is very easy. There's the system that is going on. And I had to do it in a very big place and by hand. So it changed, but we still have audits today, right? The auditors are there, and it's going to be there. But the work is different. The person is not going to do everything on paper. The way we do it is different. But we have to reinterpret where the human being is going to be up from the new situation we have now. So, what is this platform? For example, LinkedIn have 700 million users in the world and even in Brazil. So all these companies have more than 20 billion interaction a week. So this is the big data. And people say, what am I going to do with this? I need to develop tools to interpret this data. So the human being is not going to process data anymore, but it's going to pick up the database that have been processed through the machine and is going to interpret. So the human being will always be in this interpreting position because there's no machine that are going to do it. Human being is not going to be replaced. Human being only needs to be adjusted in this new scenario. So I'm going to talk about other things that we can discuss anything. Basic income, we could talk about it. It's a reality. What is the new basic income from the human being? In Europe, 200,000 euros a person. And this has to do with the presence of robotics and AI in places where human beings used to do before. But we are going to understand this only in the future. We are going to make philosophy with all of this in order to understand the market, right? Did I answer your question? Yes. Osvaldo, another question. And this is just like you. Leticia is congratulating everyone. And she says she's super connected with the experiences you are saying here. So what's the first step to engage people in change transformation? What hints would you give to hybrid teams that nowadays are working in person and home-based? There are many employees working in different places, someone at home, other one in work site and client office. Can you answer that?
Okay, thank you for the question. I try to answer. It's not that simple. I think that, well, engage people, Erika, I think she's more experienced about engaging people, right? But as for operations, I can try to answer. Well, why do the person has to do that? It's not because you are asking for the person to do or the company. What is the driver? Well, what is the trigger? What do you do for this person to be motivated? And thank you, Erika. And well, what's the interest? I remember that I was working on a project and I had a challenge because I had more senior and more experienced professionals than myself. And I remember that there was a professional who was senior and I had to engage this professional, and I ended up discovering that there was a minimal detail that was very important, was to have such a strategy. Well, and it was not something difficult to do. It was something about aggregating things. I was like, okay, could you please help me out here? Well, because those of you who know me, I have, I am that kind of joke guy. And well, we are all together, so we need to help each other because it's not worth it to have a team. And if you do not have this kind of teamwork, everybody has to be on the same place, right? Because the success of one person is not the success of others. So I will make a joke. I like NBA, and yesterday there was a match, Miami and New York, and then New York is more talented than Miami. But then it's the second, and they did not win because people give what they have from the best of them. So for me, this is such a trigger. What makes the person to be motivated? And then you need to know people. You have to have empathy. You have to think about others. Because if you talk to a mother who has 3 kids, and for instance, and she's going to be working abroad and she's going to be 6 months off, this is going to be impossible, right? So I think that, well, we need to know, and the leadership, it's horizontal, and we are very proud of it. Because, for instance, it's very important for you to discover, to understand what motivates you. And if you understand the proposal, then people will engage, and physical is easier than the virtual environment. So then you are able to see the body language and not only what the person says. And I have always been in favor of virtualization, but you end up losing the body language if you are not in person. So you need to get to know people. Well, sometimes for professionals, well, it's very important for people to go back to their homes at the right time. Some people, well, we have to have lunch time. We need to understand that, right? Because, well, every person is unique. So it's different. Well, I think that you've brought a very important point. Well, there is no recite to it. And it requires a lot of investment, a lot of dedication of time to get to know people. So I think that this is the secret to engage people, to make people to be in the same place. Well, it's about communication. Once you make surveys, you have research. Well, because sometimes you have a communication that fails. Well, for instance, well, it's not only to be attached to what is obvious, because sometimes you might be not right. It might be something obvious for yourself, but not for the others. So this requires time to know. For instance, a mother who is going to be at work for 6 months. Well, she might want to do that, but maybe it's different. So, and we take some things as granted and what we believe, and others they might have a different mindset. So that requires time. And the virtual environment, I always say to my team, please turn on your camera because it's more challenging this virtual world. But I think that I am more connected to my team now because we are having more communication, we are more closer to each other about relations. Sometimes, well, well, I see that people, we are different from each other. We are all in this pandemic, but that requires time and listen to others. Yes. And we are also talking about unconscious bias, right? Glauber, I have a last question. We will not be able to comprehend all of them, but well, Glauber, a lot of companies are going through this digital transformation and they need to face the challenge of the to have this mindset change and the status quo. So how do you deal with this scenario? Well, it's very difficult, this question, right? How do I deal with that? Well, to answer that, well, it's a little bit of everything that we have discussed about it. And it's basically my daily routine. Well, there are different scenarios. Sometimes I might have the same phases and companies, but the way that I'm going to develop a project, it's going to be totally different according to the customer because I do not have a script. Okay, these are the solutions and I'm going to do that. No. Well, I need to have human beings to manage and the resistance. And I don't see a resistance as something negative. It's the way you are going to conduct it. But it's a huge opportunity because for myself to develop myself as a professional and as a human being, well, because we have particularities also. So the first step, I think that the number one is to have the discussion centered in individuals. And I agree with Erika and Osvaldo that you have to be patient, you have to have empathy with people. So then you'll be able to understand how you are going to make that person to, for instance, if it's a P&L person, so you need to try to show different tabs, for instance, Roy, or something more specific. So what directs a person in the leadership? Well, this is very complicated. So what's the pathway that we are running? So we need to try to do new things and understand people because resistance might not be initial. Well, it's about getting to know people. And not only, if you do not ask things, it's not easy to have this kind of mapping. But, well, we have several tools for you to collect perceptions about a specific team. Well, whether it's a whole company, and you need to map out. Well, it's a hard work. And once again, you need to have this discussion standard in individuals. This is my view.
A gente já estourou no tempo aqui.
Okay, Glauber. I
Tário.
would like to share with you, Rosie, my teacher.
vontade de passar o dia todo aqui
She's very
conversando.
dear to me. I would like to talk to them all day long. No one would go to other panels, but we have to end up now. And I would like to say something last. Can you see my screen? Yes. Knowledge will be instrument so that individuals can be fulfilled and society also, if used in a shared and conscious way. So this is the message I would like to tell you. Knowledge is nothing if it's not shared. This is the key to everything. Knowledge is only power if it's shared. Otherwise, it's not going to add any value. I would like to thank you very much for being here. I loved to be here. The questions were very interesting. We have many others that will be addressed later. This is our contact information. Thank you so much. This is my message. If you would like to say something at the end, please welcome. I know time is up, but you can do it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It was very good to be here. And we shared lots of things, and I would love to be here for many hours. And time flew. But the message to relearn fast, forget about the mistake. You have to learn every moment. Didn't work, throw it away and learn again. Do it again, be resilient, and be your own protagonist. I really believe that we can change the world with knowledge, and we can make a difference. Knowledge is going to make a difference. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to record this to use it forever. I would like to thank everyone also. It was super interesting. This discussion was super nice. I would like to be here all day long. Also, time flies when we are here. And I think it's fundamental, it's basic, the ecosystem matter, which we always have to think not only on you, on your organization, but in society, on society as a whole. If you do it, it will be good for everyone. This is what I say at the end. And also say thank you to Rosie. She was my teacher, my professor. It is a super pleasure. Thank you, Juliana, Erika, Osvaldo. Thanks everyone for the questions. I'm enthusiastic about what we said here. This is it. This is a very first or second important step for us. We have to keep going, searching for information, get in touch with us. Let's learn together. And what I can say is that summing up and adding what Erika and Osvaldo said, we have to embrace the new things enthusiastically. This is the best way to go in order to improve ourselves. We have to think on ourselves and on the others too. We have to think globally in order to keep managing ourselves and our knowledge, and human beings have to be inserted all the time. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Fernando in SBGC. We already have opportunities to continue these. They are inviting us. Thank you so much. It's great to count on these opportunities to share our experiences and talk about the knowledge management topic. Thank you so much. Goodbye.